Ladies and gentlemen, hope you're all doing well, and welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be the Tomb Kings led by Soybacta facing off against the Vampire Coast, who shall be helmed by Anticity, the Kraken King, here on the road to Val's Anvil. And it looks like it's going to be some bow Shopti with the new buffed melee Shopti versus a cannon line and Luthor Harkin. Love seeing Luthor Harkin in action. He was so good back in the day in Warhammer 2 land battles, and he kind of fell off, but I think he's making a bit of a comeback, which is great to see because he's such a fun, cool character. Now, as far as the Tomb King's army goes, front line's going to be Skeleton Spheres, which makes sense. You don't really need a good front line against the old Vampire Coast. They'll be able to fight just fine against the dickhand mobs, and on top of that, they do have anti-large, so they can fight Mournguls and Crabs and various units like that, with some respectability. Ushopti Great Bows. Ushopti Great Bows are a good choice on maps where you can avoid cannon fire. Cannons are definitely the old school counter against the Ushopti bows in land battle days. You would often see, Shoptis getting taken to Pound Town by those Vampire Coast carronades. But on this map, maybe with proper placement, what I would do if I were Soybacta is maybe use them up on the high ground and line them up in such ways where the cannons wouldn't see. But we'll see how it plays out here. And it is going to be a catapult with some Kepler Guard on the far side. Maybe a little bit of overkill. Kepler Guard, a very killy unit. And with Syrenes getting buffed, maybe having a Kepler Guard isn't a bad idea. Now, for Anticity's build, it is going to be Luthor Harkin. So Luthor is a powerful, powerful anti-large fighter. The Gooses for the Vampire Coast did get anti-large this patch, so they became quite a bit better for sure. Luthor does have a silence as well, so if he shoots you with his pistol, he will silence you for a duration. I don't quite remember how long it is, but we'll have to see. Bunch of deckhand mobs in the front line with rotting Promethean gunnery mobs. Double cannon, those who shop are going to be shaken in their boots. And a Vampire Fleet Captain with some Depth Guard polearm on the side. The Bloody Chad Depth Guard, such a cool unit. Man, imagine if they made Vampire Coast and Tabletop. That'd be so cool if they made them a faction for the old world. God, that'd be awesome. I don't see that happening. I think in the next couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years, we'll probably see Kislev, we'll probably see Grand Cathay, and that'll probably be it as far as new factions go, unless the game just does freakishly well. Maybe you could see some niche factions and weird books coming out for Dogs of War type things. Who knows? But overall, yeah, getting Vampire Coast, that's a full model range. More likely to see something like that in probably Age of Sigmar, but who knows. All right, guys, so cannons are shooting in, going after the melee Shopti, which don't take any casualties out of the gates, but are going to be forced back. Objectives number 2 go to the Tomb Kings, and the high ground objective is going to go to the Bone Daddies as well. As the Skeleton Horsemen do swarm up on that point, Luthor Harkin using his pistol to try and poke Arkin. And the silence is, in fact, okay, so it looks like it's a 10-second silence every time he shoots you, which is... yeah, and it refreshes, so he just straight up can't cast. That's so cool. So he is going to be silenced for a period of time. That would actually be really good. Obviously, Arkin is pretty quick, so he can get away from Luthor's range and then start casting spells again. But if you were playing someone like Nurgle, for example, who had a Great Unclean One or a Festus character, and you just sat overhead and kept them silenced for a large portion of the game, these factions that don't have good range tools, that could be nasty. So Luthor does get in. He goes a little bit deep here onto old Arkin the Black. He does get hornswoggled as well, and there is going to be some Ushopti Greatbow supporting fire, which is probably going to make Luthor want to pull back here relatively soon, but Luthor does have access to better quality healing via Invocation, and the Tomb Kings only have Realm of Souls here in this particular match, so I suspect Luthor is willing to exchange HP if it's even, and then just pull back from there. Down on the low ground, a little bit of chaos. Deckhand mobs duking it out with these Skeleton Spheres. The Battle of the Ages. Fellbats are here. Deck Dropper Bombers as well. Crabs are rolling up with the Depth Guard polearms, and in the deep we got more Fellbats coming out. I think overall Anticity should be able to claim this build depending on how he plays it. The Deck Dropper Bombers will be very cost effective against these units, although Soybacta is doing a very good job with the Carrion as well to contest the skies and keep those bombers honest. And in the back here we do see the Screaming Skull Catapult shooting into the Depth Guard polearms, getting some very, very solid value, but overall Anticity has been a bit of a bully here with his Luthor Harkin hunting down Arkin the Black, Arkin and Harkin, all sorts of funky names there. We'll try not to get him confused. Ushopti Greatbow are calling in the back to start shooting at Luthor Harkin. He's a little bit tied up by the Ushopti for now. Probably going to pull back, get some heals, and reconsider his engagements. Meanwhile, on the low ground, deckhand mobs are having a bit of an even-ish duel with these spears, but the prevalence of the Fellbats might change that up. Here in the sky, we have Fellbats versus Carrion, which honestly, I actually don't even know who wins that. Soybacta, though, in the meantime, gets a good fight. Getting the Carrion on top of the Deck Dropper Bombers is going to force them back. Anticity's cannons firing very, very effectively, slowly wearing down those Ushopti Greatbows. Meanwhile, Luthor Harkin, dude, he is just straight up the Predator, dude. He's going to grow some dreadlocks and start laughing all evil and shit. But we do see Arkin the Black, very low amount of health. And Tomb Kings are a faction that really does not like losing their Lord. They usually are fielding a lot of low-tier skeletons who don't have the best leadership. And when they take that -16 leadership penalty, that's a lot of extra damage on the board. It's pretty funny because in tabletop, it's the exact same way. If the Tomb Kings lose their Hierophant or their Lord in tabletop, the entire army starts crumbling. So we do see Anticity up here with the Bloody Reaver Depth Guard, muscling objective number 1. So he is able to get that. Objective 2 is owned by the Tomb Kings, so Soy Bacta holding onto the points. So far, the Kraken King has not gotten on the scoreboard yet as it pertains to the objectives, but, you know, he's looking to just take his opponent's Lord out and try and push him back. And now it's going to get a little bit dodgy. If you let these Depth Guard polearms into the secondary and they're starting to chase down Ushabti, like, what do the Tomb Kings call in to peel their backfield? Typically, it's going to be Nehekar Horsemen, Ushabti, things like that. So the Halberds could be really effective against all those targets. Oh, that was actually a Fate of Boring. Okay, Fate of Bunu going down, but Invocation is going to help counter that a little bit. So Luthor moving into the secondary, Cannons taking down another Ushabti. These things are very, very close to crumbling, and also you see Ark in the Black is going to be on the run as the big man Luthor Harkin continues chasing, probably up at 1,500 value, give or take. Yeah, about 1,376. Still got it. That was pretty close. Not bad, right? High ground objective owned by the Vampire Coast, so they have gotten on the scoreboard a little bit. Bomber mobs of Anticity are going to be cruising up and looking to put some hurt down on the skeletons, which is a great call. Although Soy Bacta playing very well too, getting a very nice Screaming Catapult barrage, but not before the Bomber mobs get a direct hit. Oh, that feels bad. Right on the Kepler Guard, right in the face. And if they're able to unload all their Bomber mob ammunition on those Kepler Guard, that's going to be a huge win for the Kraken King here. In the meantime, in the backfield, look at this. Soy Bacta getting in with the Carrion and the Ushabti summon. Very clean. Does take down the Carronade here, so that Carronade is going to be paying the Troll Toll, and this Carronade potentially going to be going down as well. If those things could be taken offline while there still are some Ushabti Great Bows online, that'd be big. Granted, it looks like the cannons have done their job. One Ushabti Great Bow is basically in the trash can, will be crumbling here in a second. The other one is being hunted down by some Depth Guard units. And like I said, this is going to be an incredibly tough unit to peel off here. And where is the man? Okay, here is Luthor Harkin. He does get nailed by a Spirit Legion. Ushabti summon being used to block him up, or a call-in, I should say, not a summon. And the High Mass of the Horseman able to do a really, really nice pin on him for now. So yeah, no more Lord on summoning, which is so great. So Arkin basically has to go run and hide in the corner of the map, just like you would have to in old school land battle if you wanted to keep your character alive, right? So there's been a lot of similarities. You know, I think there's a lot of things that have helped to bridge the gap. I've been noticing some players who, you know, mainly played land battle before, giving Dom a try, and some of them enjoy it, some don't, you know, you never know. But it's cool to see that being bridged a little bit, like the objectives opening instantly, the Lord unsummoning. These are really good changes, I think, going forward in the game mode. So Bloody Reavers collapsing down to this point. Objective 1 still owned by Anticity. No one is really contesting that. And yeah, this is a pretty tight game in terms of value. Soy Bacta is up on value, but Anticity has a lot more healing. The Invocations are going to be a big value train here as we see the Depth Guard polearms moving into the secondary. Tomb Guard unit called out. The Tomb Guard might be able to win this. Maybe those are polearm Depth Guard. They're not going to be the dual wielding variant. Luthor Harkin is going after the Ushabti Great Bows. Talk about some really, really deep diving. Pistol mobs coming up. No handgun mobs, but man, those catapults, that's I think probably has a lot of value. Yeah, 800 value, melting this zombie pirate gunnery mob. Screaming Skull catapults are also very good in tabletop too. They have a special rule that if they kill a model in a unit, that unit immediately has to make a panic test and potentially can fall back in good order or run, which is really, really strong. And also the Screaming Skull catapults on tabletop, when they hit, like wherever they hit on the table, it leaves like a vortex for a battle round where it lowers everything's leadership there by -1, which is super, super good in Warhammer the Old World. It can help you terror out things. It has a lot of utility. So there you have it. Kepler Guard here are probably going to be crumbling down. Anticity threatening to take this objective. He has taken objective Dose for now. High ground objective is going to potentially be ninja'd here by Soy Bacta. So Soy Bacta does get the Skeleton Horseman here and is going to be bringing that sweet 4 capture weight, something that Vampire Coast can't quite do as easily. They can use Scurvy Dogs, but the Horseman will outtrade the Scurvy Dogs, which is a little bit dodgy. In the backfield, we see Luthor Harkin still hunting, dude, the Predator, like I said. Value on Luthor is 2,000, so he's about paid for himself. He's, I think he costs like 2,500 or something like that. Depends on the kit you bring, but he's keeping these Ushabti Great Bows honest, and also we see some Depth Guard polearms trying to sneak away from these Depth Guard and help out in this fight. But it looks like they might just very well be able to get back here, but great micro from the Tomb Kings player as well. He has been able to keep this thing away from the clutches of Luthor Harkin. And on the side objective, the Tomb Kings are going to be holding on to the point. Anticity sending up handgunner mobs, but they are using the dreaded face-to-foot style as they are just eating these catapult shots nonstop. He doesn't have too many choices. Middle point is looking like it's owned by Vampire Coast pretty well. Rotting Promethean mobs. We have some deckhand mobs, skeleton spears here. Bombers are helping to clear out some of the pointy sticks of the Tomb Kings. Bloody Reaver Depth Guard. I don't think they lost a single model fighting against those Nehekar warriors. What absolute Chad units. But high ground is owned by the Tomb Kings as well, and the Tomb Kings are the ones with the point initiative. They have the higher points for sure, 746 against 402, but the Kraken King is rapidly catching up. Catapult going to be using the last of its firepower. But now that we see the catapults being taken offline, I think we could see a bit of a change in the momentum. I think Anticity is going to be able to bring up more zombie-type units without getting nuked. And look at this! I love that he's just getting hunted nonstop. Arc of the Black just constantly fleeing. The Lord Unsummoning change was so good. We were vying for that for so freaking long, and finally it's here, so that is great. But will they get him? He's not really taking too much damage. He does have 90 armor and very high melee defense, and these Fellbats are 19 melee attack, so it's going to be very, very low. He should be fine there. Here we see some Carrion trying to swarm up on the gunnery mobs there on this objective. I think the Bloody Reavers get the job done. Luthor Harkin is still alive, man, and so is Arc in the Black. What great micro by both players this game. This has been awesome. And Luthor, truly the hunter, he does get the Ushopti here. He poisons them, so that's going to put their speed down to 46. He's currently at 2400 value, and his Depth Guard escort is going to be able to clean those up, most likely. And what is Luthor going to do next? Is he going to go hunt down Arkin and try and get the kill there? I think that might be a good idea, or maybe bringing him back to fight on some of the points. Who knows? So Anticity is currently double capped. He's going to need to get some objectives back quickly. He doesn't want to get caught in a situation where it is a triple cap situation. That'd be very tough. Tomb Kings have very good mobility via the Horseman, Hakar Horseman, very speedy, very good at kind of ninjing those objectives in the late game. Now we get some Deck Gunners, kind of a mid-game Deck Gunner call-in, not bad. They'll wreck the Ushopti very, very well. The one concern is that some of the Horsemen could swarm back here, and Anticity doesn't really have much to guard them. Like, we could see these Skeleton Horsemen come down here and just plow them, and immediately Soybacta does notice this and is going to be going for it. I would wager Anticity here is going to be calling in maybe some Scurvy Dogs to try and salvage these units, or is he just going to accept his fate and just eat it? Well, sometimes you just have to let things go, you know? But Handgun Mob cruising up towards the profound Total War Wisdom right there. Objective 3, Handgun Mobs are cruising up. These are silver shielded, so they're going to take ages to kill with those. Zombie Pirate Gunnery Mobs are coming up too, and in the back we have another Carronade being called in. All right, Luthor Harkin, he wants it. Oh, he wants that booty so bad, dude. Oh, God, he wants it. 1900 on Luthor, 530 here. It looks like there was just a Spear Leech. Oh, he tries to juke him. He might get caught here. The Goose is going to be turning 141. Oh, that could be the turning of the tide. I think Luthor Harkin finally got his prey. That was a really, really fun game of cat and mouse here. But overall, 2 HP and down for the count. Luthor Harkin has done it. The Blood Dragon. I believe he's a Blood Dragon, right? That was like his OG bloodline. Getting her done, in the words of Larry the Cable Guy, the prophet. All right, we got to bring Larry the Cable Guy back. Remember the whole, he was in the early 2000s, the whole get her done thing? I guess that was his only joke, but I thought that shit was hilarious when I was like 12. Up in the high ground, Anticity does swarm it pretty well. We do see Deckhand Mobs galore. So this objective is probably not going to be flipping again over the course of this game. That is going to be 3 of those guys. And in the middle, we do see the Kraken King pulling this one in. So he is able to get it with his Bloody Reaver Depth Guard. A lot of skeletons coming in, but these are going to be some ragtag skeletons. Their leadership is at 24 right now with Arc in the Black being gone. There's a Vampire Fleet Captain here. And the Bloody Reavers are going to just cut them to pieces. It's going to, take a while. It's a lot of HP to get through, but they will be able to grind them down. And now that Luthor has, he's got his own thing, man, there's not really much to threaten him. He's going to swarm in, rear charge. That's immediately going to be crumbling leadership. Vampire Coast needs to be very, very careful here to make sure they don't throw Luthor away. And over towards Objective 3, we see some Skeleton Spears moving up to go after the the zombies, excuse me. Might be able to hold them, but I think Anticity just has the advantage now. He's healed probably 2,000 plus value this game. We see Luthor Harkin healing cap, so he's probably up by about 2k value. Tomb Kings do have some Skeleton Warriors heading over here, but they're not going to be able to get past the Bomber Mobs and the sheer amount of meat that's sitting up on that point here. So I think this is probably GG. What a great game, though. They both microed very well. Incredibly scrappy Lord play. We got to see the how excellent the Lord Unsummoning change was. Makes for like a cagier, more exciting game, I think, and more fair. If you put that much work in killing somebody's Lord and it just magically teleports off the battlefield, it feels pretty damn bad. Now, unsummoning units, I don't mind. Because, you need to be able to refresh your pool in Domination Mode, especially like Company of Heroes, right? Which I think is a good parallel. It's a game I really, really love. I love Company of Heroes 3. It's really fun. And this game Domination Mode has a lot of similarities to that. But yeah, Lord Unsummoning, it needed to go. Here on the point, Rotting Prometheans as well as Bloody Reaver Depth Guard. They're hanging in there, and they are currently sitting at 1,400. And old Luthor Harkin is going to be grinding away against the Carrion, and that will probably be GG. I don't see there being anything else they can do. I'm going to fast forward for just a minute here. We see the Vampire or the Tomb Kings going for a bit of a ninja, but it's rapidly going to become a situation where Anticity can just win on 2 objectives, which I believe it already is. So he's going to be able to, just cackle that way. So here we do see the Vampire Coast holding the tide back. Bomber Mob's going to be arriving for Anticity. Still a very close game. Where did Luthor Harkin go, by the way? Did he die? Did he lose Luthor Harkin? Hold up. Oh, Luthor. No, that's the wrong one. Okay, let me see. No. Oh my god, Luthor died. How the hell did that happen? He must have fought in some spears for a second. Oh man, okay, hold up. Is there going to be some Tomb King's counterplay here? Is there some sneaky? Up on the high ground, we do see crumbling zombies, but they are able to hold it back. No threat here from the Tomb Kings. Soy Bacta calls in what? He calls in the Kepler Guard, which I suppose he's the one with time on his hands. He's going to be moving over to that point to try and grab it, but I think he's got this one in his clutches. So moving Kepler Guard over to the middle objective would probably be the play, but we do have a handgun mob and a deck gunner, both of which will be very good, and a full health unit of Depth Guard polearms here, and Bloody Reavers. Like, I just see no way. Anticity has so much muscle and power on the battlefield right now, including a functional artillery piece, which hasn't been shut down by the carry, and definitely should have been. But it's still online here. And Kraken King is past him in points now. So now Anticity is in a bit of a better situation. Depth Guard polearms do arrive, and that is going to be GG. Well played. I see no way for the Tomb Kings to come back. What a fun match that was. That was a really, really cool one. Undead duels, you know, back in the day weren't the most fun to watch. You know, this matchup in Land Battle used to be basically the Tomb King sitting in a defensive box with like a Boshopti and maybe some monsters. No, I was thinking against Vampire Counts. But yeah, no, this was, in Land Battle, this was actually a really good matchup. I was thinking Vampire Counts versus Tomb Kings. But yeah, GG, well played. So yeah, Anticity was down on points, but he got some nice value with Luthor Harkin, able to hunt. And his Carronades, I think, were the big breadwinners. Without those Carronades, those Boshoptis would have feasted. So that was great. Bloody Reavers, awesome value. Awesome, 1900 on them. Cool to see it. Luthor Harkin, 2700. And a lot of elite units shining. And for the Tomb Kings, who were the big breadwinners? Arkin managed to do okay, all things considered. I think he needed more catapults. Man, if he had more of those catapults online in the late game, I think Anticity might have lost that. That was very, very strong. But yeah, GG to those guys. And yeah, that's it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. Anticity might be back doing some Total War stuff. Take a look at his channel. He's on YouTube, same name. And, you know, give him a say, tell him we said hi. All right. See you guys around. Take care of yourselves. And that is it for today.